into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh, yeah, turn that up. Yeah.
That's right. We're back together, guys. Jared and me, bringing to you the Maron After Show. That's right, it's been a couple weeks.
Did you almost say iZombie?
I almost said iZombie. I almost said iZombie. That's right, we are reunited again, Jared and I, for the episode 8, Professor of Desire, Maron After Show, right here on AfterBuzz TV. You can, of course, find us, as always, on YouTube at youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. And for all of your podcasting delights on SoundCloud and iTunes. And be sure to always check in with us, interact with us via Twitter and all the social media platforms. Sorry. Via.
I'm just kidding.
Are you a Via?
No, I just like to confuse people.
Because I'm a Via.
I didn't mean to kill your momentum.
Tell us who you are.
Schedule. I like to say schedule.
Schedule.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Schedule your interactions with us via hashtag ABTVMaron. That's where you will find us. I am, of course, your host, Blake V. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Blake V Media. And I'm excited to be joined by my co-host now.
Oh, my God.
For 2 weeks in a row, Jared, back in effect.
Yeah, we're both vying for that top spot. And it's like Letterman and Leno, so we don't know who's going to get it.
We're battling it out.
So,
right?
Yeah, it's great to be back. We both took a week here, a week there.
We did.
And,
we did.
You know, I was probably just falling asleep when, and that's nothing bad towards your show.
How dare you?
It was just the last thing.
How dare
it was
you?
my late night television because I was East Coast.
Okay.
And I had a long day.
Did you go anywhere cool?
I went back to Ohio.
Oh.
So it was kind of cool.
A little hometown visit?
Yeah, I haven't been back in a while.
Nice.
So mom's wedding, you know, recharge the batteries,
Nice.
watch a show. Good job.
Good,
It was
thank
great.
you.
I know having the
Thank
studio
you.
by yourself is kind of like it's a weird feeling, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I was totally surprised because I thought it was going to be a little more daunting. And it was cool. I thought it was great to
was
kind
fun.
of, just have your own
It's
little
like you
moment.
hijacked a station.
It's like you hijacked
Airheads.
AfterBuzz.
Yeah.
It is. It's
It's
exactly
just
like
Airheads.
Airheads.
Like, you brought
Just
your
like
demo
it.
in, and they just accepted
I
you.
felt like a combination of Adam Sandler and Brendan Fraser. That's what I felt like.
Wow.
I know.
Who was your favorite character in Airheads?
Probably Brendan Fraser.
Oh, yeah. Chaz.
Yeah.
That's his name, Chaz.
Yeah, I think so. You know, and it was during that same time as like Encino Man and all of that.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So that probably lended to my favoritism of Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
But I'm
Is
gonna
it
go with him.
Fraser?
I've always said Fraser.
Yeah.
But it's quite possible
I
that
think it
it's
is Brendan
Fraser.
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 Yeah,
okay,
it's
so
weird.
I've been wrong this whole time.
So you like Brendan? Okay.
I do.
He's kind of the straight man, like just kind of like never, you know.
Yeah, but I dig that. You know,
Okay.
that was his deal. That was his claim to fame.
Yeah.
I was with it. I was on board.
Do you know how many people are? I'm not going to get on Airheads tangent here, but that is a chock full of cast right there.
It is.
Like Chris Farley was in
Yes.
like random scenes.
Yes.
Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters was
And
in
like,
that
who
movie.
knew, right?
Kramer
This
from
movie,
Seinfeld, yeah.
An all-star cast before anybody even knew. It was like the beginnings.
Yeah.
It was like a gold
But
mine.
it wasn't even like they got bigger. We're gonna do a whole Airheads. I'm gonna talk to the AfterBuzz guys. Maybe popcorn talk. We'll do an Airheads
I'm
episode.
in.
Yeah.
I'm so in.
Yeah, but no Marc Maron in the episode.
No
in
Marc
Airheads,
Maron,
so.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe one day they'll redo it. And
That
they'll
doesn't
invite
need to be
Marc
done.
Maron? No. Okay. All right.
It would just be a terrible.
Jared's put the kibosh on
because
that.
Adam Sandler would just ruin it. You know, he would just come back as the same character, and it would be like PG.
Poor Adam. Okay, Adam's been getting a bad rap the last couple years. What has been your favorite
no.
Adam Sandler movie? I've just got to go there.
Of all time?
Of all time.
Probably Billy Madison.
Okay.
Yeah.
My favorite was The Wedding Singer.
you're okay. I'm not going to hate on that because you're still within that window
Right.
of like 95 to I'll
early
stretch
2000.
to 2002
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Like if someone said Mr. Deeds, I'm like, all right, let's stop.
Pushing
let's
it.
stop. But Wedding Singer has its moments.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. And I love the soundtrack from that movie. And I feel like every single time I hear those 80s songs, I'm like,
Yeah.
reminds me of The Wedding Singer. Not even the actual 80s, even though I was there for most of the 80s. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I love it. This
Reminds
is
me of The Wedding Singer.
and this is the Marin After Show.
That's right. We are here for the
I
Marin
love it.
After
I could
Show.
do that all day. I could talk about that all day. I'm sure
You know-
the audience would love to listen to it too.
Right? Or
Yeah.
would they?
Yeah. No. So we'll wrap this up quickly, and then we'll talk back to about Adam Sandler's career.
You know? Because
Yeah.
that's really what matters
Yeah,
tonight,
that's
clearly.
true. Yeah.
Clearly. No, actually, tonight's episode I thoroughly enjoyed. Thoroughly
yeah.
enjoyed. Yeah. This was fantastic. Interestingly, tonight's episode opened up with his podcast moment, which normally he'll save for some time in the middle of his episode. I feel like this time he just opened right
He
up
had
with
that
it.
solo moment in the middle. I like the pacing of that.
He
Like,
did.
And he closed with it.
He did.
Right?
No.
No, he didn't.
He didn't close with it.
Yeah,
Normally,
I like this. I
Yeah.
like in the middle because it almost explains what's not that it needs explaining, but I like how he just kind of had his little moment in the
Right.
middle. It was fun.
yeah, because typically he'll have his moment with the guest in
Yeah.
the middle of his episode, and then he'll close it out with like his final thoughts.
Yeah.
This one was totally mixed up. He opened with his guest moment, and you're right, in the middle he popped in with his kind of closing thoughts. At least that's what I thought it was going to be. But then he had an even better closing thought, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah.
But he opened this episode with his interview with Jerry Stahl, which I had listened to the podcast a couple days earlier. And it was a great podcast. I was not fully familiar with Jerry Stahl's body of work, but he was an excellent interview. And the whole Marin podcast with him was fantastic. I would highly recommend checking it out. It was very interesting.
I need to catch up with his career. Well, I know he wrote Permanent Midnight, which
He
is a
did.
huge novel. Did you ever read that?
I
didn't
did
read it.
not read
So
it.
now maybe I'll have to read it and not understand any of it. But then, you know what I didn't realize? That he wrote the screenplay for Bad Boys 2. And he also wrote Alf. That's what they're talking about, Alf at the
I
beginning.
did know that, yes.
But with all these other...
So diverse.
Yeah, it's really random.
So widespread.
Yeah.
To go from Bad Boys 2 to Alf. Or Alf to Bad Boys 2.
Yeah, and somehow there's a connection. I don't know what it is. At least it's just I don't know, because then he's written so many novels just about other deep things that have nothing to do with movies
Right.
or television, and it's just kind of
Creative
its own.
guy.
Yeah, I'm
Very
going to
deep,
dive into the
creative
career
guy. Yeah,
and then maybe not understand any of it.
right. Very true.
I do understand Alf though. My older brother liked Alf.
You did not, though? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it being on.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully our audience.
They're like, what the hell are you talking about?
What the hell is Alf? Yeah, it was
What the
like
hell is happening?
mid late 80s.
Right.
So I was around, but I probably was like, oh look, it's the fuzzy thing.
I feel like early TV memories for me were like Alf and Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah, Mr. Belvedere. Mine
Yeah.
were like some Cheers,
Okay.
stuff like that. I just remember the Cheers.
I caught Cheers on the reruns
music.
from Nick at Night.
Yeah, just depend whatever your parents had on, or like
True.
siblings.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, I had no siblings.
Oh.
But
Well,
I
that's
did watch my share of TV.
That's the beginning of your problems right there. We'll dive.
That's
deep
a whole
into
nother
that.
issue.
Yeah.
That's for another night. Anyways, yeah, totally interesting guy. We're going to have to find out more about him. It was great. It was a great podcast. I recommend listening to it. One more thing worth mentioning, perhaps, is just that last week we touched on Mark's having the president on his podcast, which I got to elaborate on a little bit last week, but just like still very cool, still historic, still awesome. I didn't know if you maybe wanted to touch on that for just a moment.
Yeah, I mean,
I just thought it was super cool.
Yeah.
Just super cool to just touch on it yet again. I mean, it freshly happened last week, and I was excited to be able to speak on it last week, and just very cool for podcasters in general. I know that everyone here at AfterBuzz TV was really excited because that's what we do right here at AfterBuzz TV, bringing all this great podcast material to you guys. And here we have a fellow podcaster, Marc Maron, bringing the president to everyone. It was great. It was a great moment, and I just wanted to kind of touch on that again.
Yeah, I love how the president's camp reached out to him. He said like a year ago, and then I heard him break down the whole thing. The funny story I heard from Mark that was on Opie and Jim that I listened this week, he said that they put the tent over his driveway, and they tinted his windows and he said that him and his assistant, I forget the guy's name, they were in charge. The Secret Service asked them to put like tape over the garage windows, and Mark goes, "What? Like we're the guys? Like we're in charge? We're in charge of this? Like in case anyone can see in? Like we're the people? How do we become in charge of this?" And that was hysterical. Like they took every security measure
except for the taping of the windows.
Like, yeah, which is a huge part.
They're like, Mark's capable.
Yeah. So he said that they had to tape them. So that I thought was kind of interesting. And it's just I love the interview. I was disappointed at the end. Mark said he's not going to keep interviewing politicians. He goes, I don't want to go down that road and become that guy. And then I heard some good counterpoints saying, why don't you just try it and see if you can get other people to open up as honest as the president was? Like, it's an honest show. So let's see if you can get, and if a few politicians come on and are just the same old phony rhetoric, then you just stop doing it. But I'd like to see him try, because he talks to everyone already, authors and artists and actors and comics. And so why not just try it? But he said he doesn't want to dive into that world, which I understand. But it would be fun, because now he's on the map. Like, maybe he could be that guy that gets people to open up and be honest.
Yeah.
Because that's what I won't watch debates. Like, they're just it's the same rhetoric, you know what I mean? But I will listen to something like this. Mm-hmm. And so I think hopefully the culture is shifting. It might take a few more years, but hopefully people will go to something like this for their information on people. And because people just want to hear about people's lives. And
we live in an interesting time because that is an option. Mm-hmm. Every other generation previous to us has had just sort of that closed relationship with the government and with those in power and with the president, and they've been just kind of this enigmatic figure that maybe has periodic speeches to the nation or what have you. But we live in a time now where everything is accessible to everyone at any time, including speeches with the president. So now we have Marc Maron bringing his interview with the president to everyone, accessible to everyone, and really speaking to him on a personal level. And that was super cool. So I'm fully with you. I agree with you. I think that that's a fantastic resource to be able to infiltrate things like that maybe everybody is either not aware of or just doesn't have access to in terms of the government and kind of political knowledge. To be able to bring that to everyone in a podcast forum is fantastic. So I'm with you. I agree.
And the press took the whole thing the wrong way. They just took little snippets of the interview and just focus on that. And they didn't even focus on. So ignore that.
Does everything. I mean, like when things get sensationalized,
that's what they do.
Little bits and pieces are going to get highlighted. You're never going to know the full thing unless you listen for yourself.
Just listen. It's an hour long.
It was great. It was very comprehensive, I thought.
It was really good. I could have listened to another hour, and he said he had plenty more questions, obviously.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, all day. I'm sure you could talk to the president all day. I know I could.
I think he corrected the president on some word, like in the middle. I had to listen to the show again, but he corrected him, and then it was just that was kind of interesting. Like, who would want to correct the president on anything? Jump
Marc
in
Maron.
there. But it was really good.
He's got those.
So
balls.
download the show.
Definitely, yes.
Along with this one, just double it up.
Get a whole solid listening session in.
Yeah, the weekend's coming up. Grab a nice glass of bourbon, like what's her name tonight?
That's right.
And just enjoy the
wifey.
shows. Yeah, wifey.
Oh, wifey.
Yeah.
I liked her style. Yes, so speaking of wifey, tonight's episode introduced us to the character Jack Ross, who was played by Adam Goldberg.
Yeah.
Fantastic job.
He plays a really good neurotic
kind
of guy. He always has. Even his role, I liked his role in Saving Private Ryan the best. I thought he was really good in that. But he was a little skittish and a short-tempered kind of guy. So
he plays it great.
Yeah.
He plays it great. He had a moment at the end that was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. So he goes. He's an old friend of Maron's. He goes to meet with him and stay with him.
Mm-hmm.
He goes with the intentions of speaking to his class. He's a college professor. He goes to kind of just have a moment with his class and touch on his podcasting and the things that he does career wise. And he comes to find out that Jack has Professor Ross has a very problematic student in his class. Yes, a TA.
Which I've never seen a TA sit in class.
I know. right?
Or-
right?
yeah.
Normally they're like assisting
Yeah.
off to the side.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe the protocol was not quite there
Yeah.
in this episode, but you know,
Sure.
whatever. She
Lenient,
was there.
lenient school.
She was there. Good old Tina was there, and so Maron, of course, begins his speech, his prepared
He tried
lecture.
He tried to put in some what is it? Psychology. I don't know, what was he talking about?
Zizek.
I wrote it down. Slovajajic.
It might be Slovaj Zizek.
Yeah, Zizek.
Zizek.
Yeah, I think that's probably it.
We're close.
But she knew.
Anyways,
She's like, I knew you were Googling. Like, that just
she's
sounds
like,
like
I
someone.
could smell the Google.
Yeah, yeah,
How funny is that?
yeah. So she's hateable at the very beginning of
Yeah.
the episode for sure, because
Totally.
it's total heck. It's like he's doing stand up in front of a horrible crowd.
He goes, "Is this academic
Yeah.
heckling? Is
Yeah.
that a thing now? Do we do this?"
Yep.
Which was great. And apparently it is a thing because good old Tina is
I wonder if students do that now.
bringing it to him.
I don't think there might be a few.
Honestly, I think it depends on the professor.
Yeah.
Because so many professors are like not taking any S
guff.
from anyone.
Guff.
Yeah, no guff. And I feel like that would not happen. But you know, every now and then you get like the cool professor
let's
or like
open
the
up
young
free
one.
ideas.
Yeah, like share your thoughts.
Unless
share
too
your
many
thoughts.
students' ideas just suck, then you just don't listen
Right.
to them.
Unless you have Tina in your class.
Well, as we find out
She's
later,
heckling
she uses everything to her advantage. We find out later, and she's smart in what she can do.
Yep, she is a very opportunistic
Yeah.
young lady. Yes, and so she finds her way to Jack and ends up sleeping with him.
Yeah, he admits it to Mark at the end of the class. Like, I have a little bit of a problem, actually a big problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, "That Tina, she's a problem."
Yeah.
And admits that he's been sleeping with her. And I think it's that just after that, the next scene cuts to they're at this party, this professor's party, where it seems like all the professors at the school.
It's probably gotta be
or
like the weekend or something,
or-
and people are just hanging out. You know, a social event.
Yeah. Where all the professors are, it seems. And so Jack is there, Mark is there, and then suddenly Tina is there.
Yeah.
Tina shows up. So of course, Jack kind of divulges to Mark that he's being blackmailed. He's being blackmailed by Tina. And then the wife shows up.
Well, yeah, Mark has got some good, well, not good game. She looks like she probably hits on anyone that she sees that she gets some kind of advantage with.
Right.
But so she's hitting on him and he's falling. You know, why
And
not?
see-
She's a beautiful woman, so let's go
Right.
for it.
And seeing that he's friends with her professor,
Yeah.
he's friends with Jack, she probably sees him as some sort of like weak point
Yeah.
for Jack as well, you know?
I thought, like, hey, Mark's, like, she already said she was a big fan of the podcast, so it was already starting to lean that way. She said she hasn't told Mark that she's a fan of Jack's books yet, but she did tell Mark, you know, I'm a huge fan of your podcast, so maybe there you could start leaning like, oh, she's kind of sleeping with people that inspires her and kind of
Right.
like her role model or whatever.
Right.
So you can kind of see it leaning that way, and then of course the wife comes in. It's just a block, just blocking.
Totally blocking.
But the wife knows.
So, she 100%
Yeah.
she knows.
Yeah.
Like just even her demeanor of
Yeah.
just the whole conversation of her butting in.
Yeah.
She 100% knows. And I thought it was funny because, of course, in class, Tina comes across as a very strong-willed student, like kind of a ball buster.
Yeah.
Like she definitely just is like, you know, throwing it to Mark,
Yeah.
just, you know, heckling him, whatever. And then on the flip side, when she gets to the party, she's definitely like putting on the flirt and putting on the whole, you know,
Yeah.
the whole act, the whole thing of kind of just trying to break Mark down.
Yeah.
And of course it's working. She's just like super good at reading these scenarios and just like breaking down her male counterpart to get what she wants.
Well, you know, just like if you're a guy, if you're a girl, if you're like a 9 or a 10, then you should be good in that position. But she's also intelligent.
Oh, you
so she
should
can really
be.
finish. Oh yeah, you should. Come on, we know.
oh,
We're right there,
oh,
right?
Of course we
Yeah,
know.
I mean, we've manipulated so many
We're
people
like-
at parties
We're
every
like
week.
masters at this.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it was me, yeah, I just manipulate everybody. But she knows what she's doing. Like, she just does it it's like clockwork to her.
Yeah.
She probably does it to, you know, just to mess with. I could see this
Yeah,
girl
for
being just a
fun.
mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But yeah, it's like people she likes and people she inspires to kind of be like. aspires.
Aspires.
As a total flub.
Aspires.
So yeah, she walks out of the party, because she totally got blocked and she probably is feeling weird that the wife's just talking to them anyway.
Right.
So she leaves and touches Jack's crotch on the way out, which was great.
So
I thought for sure the
bold.
wife saw it.
So bold.
I almost think that scene, it wouldn't have quite worked, but it would have been kind of funny if the wife just saw it so obviously and just went like, but we learn later on that he's still trying to hide it. So the neurotic part of it would be lost. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought for sure, like,
Gotta
wait.
keep that encapsulated.
Yeah.
The wife tries to see everything, but she can't see everything. She tries.
That's true.
So shortly after that, is that where we come to the meeting where Mark is speaking to Jack?
Out back. It's when he
Yes.
gets the panties out for the
Yes.
first time.
Yes, and we see the panties.
He's just like crying into the panties and,
Yeah.
and admitting that this is the blackmail part.
Yes.
This is the blackmail part where he's like, hey, she's blackmailing me. I'll tell she'll tell my wife, I'll lose my tenure, everything. You got to help me. You got to help me.
Yeah, he's like, man,
but I
you
love how
gotta step
prepared he
in.
is. He's like, you got to help me. He's like, okay. Then he has the plan. He's like, here's her address. Like,
Right.
just go there.
And just writes it, like knows it. Just
Now, I thought he was going to say, I don't know what you thought. I thought he was going to say, go sleep with her. Because if you sleep with her, it'll get everything off of me. Like, she'll be obsessed with you. You got to take one for the team. You're not married. That's what I thought. I don't know what you thought he was going to say. Like, I didn't think he was going to say, go talk to her.
Right.
We both knew that he was going to eventually sleep with her. But I don't know what you thought that he was.
Right. Okay. So I feel like I did not think initially he was straight up going to say, hey, go sleep with her.
Yeah.
I really do think he just meant like, hey, go talk to her. I really thought that that's maybe all he thought it would take.
Yeah.
However, I mean, I do agree with you that I easily felt it was going there. I
Here's
felt
an
like he was
address to
gonna
a
sleep with her
beautiful
regardless.
woman's apartment
Yeah.
that's been hitting on you.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
what I didn't see coming though was his reaction to Mark sleeping with her.
Yeah. Do you want to jump to that now? We can.
We can come to it in a second. I
Okay.
guess we can come to it in a
Then we
second.
can do
because then after, Mark does go to her house.
Her dorm.
Her dorm. Very true.
I love the noise in the background too.
I know.
I thought at one point she was going to tell the neighbors to keep it down, but it never happened.
She's the RA
Yeah.
at her dorm.
Yeah,
free room and board. That's right.
Did you have any cool RAs? I know the show is going a little, but whatever. Did you have any like annoying
get there.
RAs or cool RAs?
I actually did not live at college.
Oh no.
I commuted to and from my commuter college. Was not necessarily the experience I wanted to have,
Yeah,
but it
well.
was my experience nonetheless. So no, I
Well,
didn't
if anyone
even
out
know
there
any
has some good
RAs.
stories,
Tell us.
Put them on the YouTube page. I'd like to hear a weird RA story. Everyone's got something.
Everybody loves a good weird RA story.
We always lucked out and got an RA that was they were just older college students, so they understood.
Yeah.
If you weren't too wild, they're like, okay, we'll cover
Really
it for
fine.
you. It was all. I always had a couple of good ones.
That's good.
Yeah, lucked out.
I
Freshman
like
year
it.
was better than sophomore year.
So
Sophomore year was a
would-
little more strict.
Would Tina have been an actual good RA to her other fellow students?
Are
do you
you?
think?
I sure hope. I would have loved to have an RA that looked like that. Are you kidding
that
me?
looked like her, but do you think she actually would treat everyone?
She probably busts everyone's
cool?
balls a little bit, but as we find out later, she wouldn't. She'd be someone that would threaten action with the university,
But not follow
just to
through.
gain leverage. So
Right.
that'd be it. But she'd be
Oh,
cool.
that's
Like
Tina.
later on, then
Yeah.
she'd be partying with you the next week and be
Yeah.
like, "Come on, give me a drink." So she seems cool. I would definitely have loved to have had her an RA in the
I'm
school.
sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
Yes, of course. So Mark goes to speak with her. He sees her. She puts on the full seduction act when
Yep.
he comes to the front door.
Nice.
She's just like off with it, and he sleeps with her.
Yeah.
Of course. So then, of course, afterwards they have a little bit of an intimate conversation. We learn some things. We learn that she's blackmailing Jack, but
She would never do it.
But she would never follow
Yeah.
through with anything. So we learn that about her. She's also totally heckling Mark again right after they get together. She had a good elder Cox.
Oh yeah. Well, he took it the
line.
right. He took it the best way ever because he's like, it's like my cock has wisdom,
Right.
and it's a great, it's just a great way to flip it around.
I know. As
Yeah.
only he could spin it, right?
Yeah.
She totally is like, you could lose
It's like
a few
calling someone
pounds,
bald,
you
and it's
could-
like, well, it's because I've
Yeah.
been around and I know things.
That's
so,
right. That's right. I know.
Yeah. In a much more fun way.
Yeah.
And I just lamed up that whole joke, so it turned into a bald
No.
reference.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're talking about it anyways. It's fine. So, and so, she totally just, like, she gets what she wants. She works these guys the way she wants.
Yeah, she says she's just trying to motivate them for the next book because his books after 20 years ago have sucked.
Totally. And so it's almost like...
Calls Mark fat.
Yeah, calls him fat. She's almost like working these men to their benefit or something. That's her justification.
Yeah. Well, that's when it leads in. Yeah.
Make them a better man.
Well, it leads into the whole thing, his middle part about the madness, which was great. We haven't talked about, which was my favorite part of the show. I'm sure it was probably yours as well. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just speaking for you. I wrote it all down. Like,
let's get to that.
Do the great artists need messy lives? Tortured lives. Do we need them? And he's like, is it fodder, fuel? Is it fuel for like creativeness? And he's like, as a comedian, if I have all these depressing things in my life, well, it's just fuel for me to be creative. I can go on stage and talk about it and turn it into something. I can make a movie about it. I can do this or that. If I'm an accountant, I'll just, I'll blow my brains out because I don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
Which is a great way to, and I was having this conversation with one of my friends a few weeks ago. I was like, most comedians, at least the ones that I like, and most comedians in general, not most, but it's a decent amount that have some kind of just weird stuff in their past, a weird childhood, an odd upbringing, something that happened in their life, a relationship, and it makes them better. You're like, oh my God, would we have even had, would we have had Richard Pryor if this didn't happen in his life? It's a great, and I don't think so.
No.
And so I hope we're not, and it makes me worried about this next, like, not quite this generation, but I think every generation. Not everything's not changing. Everyone's not all. I mean, people are becoming better, and I'm hoping better people and more understanding kind of people. But I got a little pessimistic. I thought, oh my God, we're going to lose all the creative people. We're just going to have a bunch of robots, and everyone's going to act the same. But I think there's enough effed up people and things in the world that we're still going to have plenty of creative people.
Yep, yeah. I think that it is a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
Fortunately. Unfortunately, fortunately, I totally agree with you. I do think that having weird stuff in your life brings out just whole new just areas of thought that a regular person that it's never happened to would never think of. I think just experience and just weird stuff totally makes it relevant and brings it up in comedians and stuff. So I think that is never ending. People will continually, for generations to come, have weird stuff happen in their lives.
I wish something screwed up happened to me. I'm just the perfect boy.
Nothing's
wrong.
Oh, well, Mr. Perfect
We'll leave
over here.
We'll leave it up to the audience to judge on that.
I guess that's why he's got me on his panel, because I've got plenty of things in my past that we can talk about.
Oh man,
we can pull up.
See, that would be a killer show. Killer show.
That's why you got to tune in next week.
Yep.
That's right. We'll be pulling stuff out one by one.
Do you want to say the quote at the end of the show from his friends yelling in the house? Did you write it down?
Hang on.
From Jack. What was he yelling into the panties? I wrote it down.
Why'd you have to put him inside you?
Yes. I wanted just an isolate.
I'll do a reenactment. Why'd you have to put him inside you?
I just wanted to, wow, now we got it twice. We got it twice tonight. All I wanted was an isolated track of Blake yelling that, and now we've all got it.
You're welcome, guys.
It's one of the best.
That was my favorite part of the night, actually.
Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious because I did not see that reaction coming. I did not see him getting angry at Mark for sleeping with Tina. I did not see that.
But it was fake anger. That's the way because I read into it like he knew he was finally free, but couldn't handle it, and was. I mean, it was like a pillow fight between like teenagers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, Mark, why'd you do that? But you could see inside, I think, honestly, you could see inside him he was freaking out.
He knew that it was right.
He was freaking out, but he was like, oh my God, it worked. And so the acting was almost teetering on bad acting, but it was just a weird reaction. That's what I think they're going for. Yeah.
I thought it was great. I could see that struggle, but I think it was totally justified. Like, he just couldn't handle it, and he was like, oh, the panties, and then had to like run away.
And put panties on his head and write his next book.
Which is what Tina wanted. She said.
Yeah.
She said that was his source of inspiration. So apparently she knew him best. What can we say?
Did you like the slow-mo walk at the end of the episode?
It was hilarious. Yes.
That was a great scene.
Yeah.
It was the last shot, right?
So Mark feels so awkward from Jack's reaction that he's like, all right, man, gotta leave. See you later. He leaves outside, and then he takes the panties from his jacket, and it was like a glorious moment from like multi-angles.
Yeah.
It was great.
And he just sniffs them, but then waves them on his head. But this is
It was like a glorious moment.
This is one of the episodes where it really links back to his podcast that was on the show.
Yeah.
Because he has that whole, screwed up stuff. And I mean, come on. He just slept with a woman who was bribing one of his friends to get him to be more creative. And then she uses him so he can become more creative again. And his friend has her underwear. He has her underwear. They're both celebrating. It's this crazy, screwed up moment in life that, yes, it was a great moment. I mean, come on. They both had sex with a beautiful woman. Okay, there's more screwed up moments than that. But it's this weird madness moment and I actually circled in all caps. I circled panties, and then I did / madness equals creative.
He did.
And that could have been a backup name for the episode. Like,
it could have been.
Like panties
plus madness equals creative. Totally.
And it was like this crazy moment that summed up the whole thing. Like, wow. And he has so many stories in his past.
Oh, endless.
This just helped him in a little blip in his life, and then it'll be on to the next weird story. But this might have been my favorite episode of the season.
I loved tonight's episode.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was great. It was creative. It totally, like, I got it the whole way through. It was fantastic. And I love that ending moment.
Yeah. The slow-mo.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Classic.
And then Patton Oswalt next week.
Patton Oswalt next week.
That's going to be fun.
That's going to be great.
Yeah.
Now, do we think that is he just the podcast guest, or do you think he'll pop in for more?
He's probably just the podcast guest. I have to look at his podcast schedule, because if he pops up on that, then maybe they just taped some. But I hope he's on the episode. I'll have to look forward. But as long as we get some Patton. He bridges the gap between, and for me as a comedy fan, oh my God, you okay? You dying? He bridges the gap. Like, you have like the dirty comics, and then you have some of the safer. It's almost like an East Coast, West Coast thing. For some reason, there's almost like a divide.
Ooh, it's like rapper conflict.
New York
and
LA comics are a little different. But Patton, he's a little more like, I guess, like a cleaner comic, I guess. But he buddies up with all these like dirty guys, and it's the most fun when like they come together and you're like, oh my God, I didn't think these guys would like each other.
Yeah.
Like I've heard him with like I always mention, like Jim Norton or like Jim Florentine, who was on Louis this year, and all these guys, and he's like friends with them, and he gets them, and they all like each other. That's why he's one of my favorite comics.
I know, which is so funny. Yeah, and you would think that someone like Patton Oswalt would like or want to associate with those kind of acts, but I feel like it would be tougher for those kind of acts to want to associate with Patton Oswalt, right? Because of that juxtaposition. Yeah. I feel like it's easier for like for less intense to gravitate towards more intense than it is for more intense to lessen.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But it makes it all the more cool
it's also
when it
pleasant
happens.
though if you think that some guy's a really dirty comic and all of a sudden he surprises you, you're like, wow, that wasn't all just it wasn't just like he was banking on the language, and so that's surprising as well. So I guess it could work either way.
True.
We're both trying to say that we're both Patton fans, and we hope he kills it next week. So
very true. We're excited.
Yeah,
we are excited for next week.
Yeah,
excellent.
It's great to be back.
Great to be back with you, Jared. This was an exciting episode, and thank you so much for joining in to recap episode. What were we on? 8. Episode 8 with us. It's flying
Professor
by.
of Desire.
This season's flying by, guys. I've been your host, Blake V. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Blake V Media, and you can also find me on my YouTube show, Winos and Onesies. Check that one out. It's exciting.
I totally forgot to plug my Twitter at the beginning, so I'm going to plug it twice.
Do it.
At Gilkerson Radio on Twitter. That's at Gilkerson Radio on Twitter.
You got it.
That's it.
That's it. That's all he's got.
Bring up the music and let's get out.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Sniff you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
The biggest new media platform on the web.